friends, this is Heather Fadden. I am coming to you live, and I think we'll probably wait for a few more minutes for a few more folks to jump on. First of all, I'm here today to do a little tutorial on some of these face masks that they're asking for. I don't know if you saw the advertisement that Providence has put out a request, 100 million face masks worldwide, and gosh, about a week ago, I started putting together little face masks myself for just people who wanted to avoid touching their face. And I went onto YouTube, found a tutorial, and just started making some. I made a disclaimer that they weren't by any means hospital grade. They were just intended to kind of like wearing a scarf. You just want to avoid touching your face. And so anyway, I started making some of these masks, and I first of all went to my own fabric supply, and then I realized I didn't have the elastic that was needed. So I had to go to the store and get the elastic to make these masks. And I don't know if you've been to a fabric store, but you get in there and you see all the fun fabric that they have. And I ended up loading up the cart and getting all kinds of fun new fabric and some great flannel for the inside, and got flannel for the outside and cotton. And so came back and just started making masks. And last week I made about 50, a little over 50 masks for friends and neighbors and people that just wanted that little extra protection. This was all I really had intended to do, was just kind of make them for friends and family. And then last night I noticed that Providence had put on there that they're looking for people to sew the masks. And when I clicked the link and watched the tutorial, it was exactly the same mask that I had been making, the same dimensions, the same everything. And so I thought, well, let's just roll up the sleeves since I have the fabric and the supplies. I put the request into Providence. I haven't heard back yet from them. I just checked my emails right now. I don't know if they're going to be providing kits or if I provide my own. I watched one video that said that it just needed to be made from cotton and the right size elastic and the right dimensions. It didn't need to be washed ahead of time, that they would sanitize them when they got them. So before I tell anybody any advice on how to join this or what to do, I would encourage you to click that Providence link, submit your request if you want to be one of the people that can sew the masks, and then see what they have to say. Like I said, I don't know if they provide the kits or if you need to provide your own cotton, if there's a certain kind of cotton that's better than another. I know the video that I watched, they said, oh, it's more comfortable to put flannel on the inside closer to your face. So I did. I bought flannel, and it was on the inside. It's nice and soft. But the video that I watched said that they should be cotton, and so if it's cotton and they provide it, or you need to go buy it, or whatever the situation is, just make sure that you're making the right one. You don't want to make 100 masks and find out that it's not what they were looking for. So anyway, I want to start by, first of all, full disclaimer here, I am not a master seamstress. I learned to sew when I was in, I think, junior high school. My mom sewed everything of mine when I was growing up. I had quilts and beautiful dresses, and we spent our day at the fabric store. I would go through these big fabric books, picking out the right patterns, and she would go make my clothes, and just what parents did in the 70s, I think. So I learned to sew early on. My mom and my sister are much better seamstresses than me. I can do a straight line. I can do a pattern. I've done quilts, but it's by no means the best seamstress out there. So please be patient and don't critique too much, because I'm not the best. So, and then this is also live, so there's no do-overs. There's no second takes. This is just shooting from the hip here. So hopefully it will go across, without a hitch. But if I might have a hiccup or two through here, so just bear with me on that. And then I will go through on a more deeper level, if anybody needs to, details on maybe threading your machine, threading your bobbin, what machine to use. It's a Brother EX6600. I think you can pick them up for maybe under $200. They're an awesome machine. They do all kinds of different stitches, but it's also very basic. It's very, very easy. As far as sewing machines go, I would say it's a good beginner machine. If you're looking to go out and maybe buy a sewing machine, like I said, mine is the Brother EX6600. If they still sell these, I'm not sure, but maybe you can find something comparable. If they don't, it's a good machine. So anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to sew a cotton face mask per the video provided by Providence. And what we're going to start out with is, it's a 6" by 9" cotton rectangle. So 9 inches this way, 6 inches this way. And I'm going to move the camera over so you can see where I'm cutting, and I'm going to actually cut a piece of fabric so that you can see my method of cutting the fabric. Now, there are easier methods to this. You can do it the easy way or the hard way, and I'm kind of right in the middle. I recently moved and packed up all of my sewing things, so I was able to find my cutting mat. It's not pretty. It's been used for crafting, and it has paint around the outside of different things. And so anyway, I've got a cutting mat. I have not got a big fancy sewing room. I'm actually in a guest bedroom right now in our house and working on top of a bed. But if you have a kitchen counter or a dining room table or a kitchen table that's big and wide and open, that's probably the best place to do your cutting from. So anyway, I'm going to use my mat. I've got my fabric laid out. My fabric, I'll get up and show you here. Okay, so here's my fabric. Here's the board. I've got the fabric laid out. It was a little wrinkled, so I put an iron to it so that I have a real straight edge. And I'm going to set this camera while I talk, and hopefully you can follow along and see what I'm doing here. All right, so I am kind of MacGyvering things since I don't have all of my fancy sewing equipment. Here's my mat. The mat it's a grid. It's got 0 through 17 here, 0 through 23 on the other side. So you can see how far 9 inches is. You can count up the 6 inches, and you can get it to be a perfect, the perfect size. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the selvaged edge, which is the edge provided by the bolt of fabric. So it's most likely a pretty straight edge. So I'm going to lay that as flat as I can there. I'm going to come over just a little bit because it's got a little bit of fray. So I'm not going to go right up to the end. I'm just going to go a little bit over. Then I'm going to count up 6 inches, unless you're smart enough to figure this out on your own. So starting at 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 17 is 6 inches up, and I'm going to go 9 inches across. So as I said, I'm MacGyvering things. I took a straight edge, which is, I've just got a box that I've got in my craft room here, my supplies, and I'm going to line it up 17 and 17 on the other side. And then I'm just going to cut a straight line. So they also have really nice rolling cutters. If you want to get one of those, that makes cutting fabric that much easier. What I would even recommend that you do is do all of your cutting ahead of time. Like I've cut a lot of these pieces already in 6 by 9 pieces so that they're all laid out and ready to go. As you can see over here, I've got all of my fabrics, just most of them are all cut out and ready to go. So if you want to get your fabric out, cut it, have it all ready. It just makes the process go that much faster. So I'm up to 17 inches there. I'm just going to use one of my templates to go in for the 6 inch mark, or excuse me, the 9 inch mark. Now this one goes over a little bit, so I'm going to line it up exactly at 9 inches. Okay, so this will be a 6 by 9 inch. All right, so I've got my 6 by 9 inch piece of fabric, and actually I doubled it, so I've got 2 pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them face together. So the good side, you've got a back side and a front side. So put them with the front sides together. Okay, I'm going to turn this back around now. Okay. Again, thanks for your patience here. I'm trying to do this Facebook Live and I don't have anybody to videotape for me. So with both sides together, now you can pin this together if you want to, just to keep it together. I have found for sake of convenience, and it does stay together pretty well, so I haven't been pinning mine together. But if you feel more comfortable pinning it together, face sides together, you can just give it a quick pin so that it's not going to go anywhere when you start to sew. Okay, so as you're looking at this, you've got it this way. Don't hold it this way, up and down, hold it sideways so that you've got the long side at the top. I always start, as you're looking at this, in the top left corner. Now, I think this is reversed in the video, so it looks like it's the top right corner, but it's actually the top left corner is where I start. Now, if I have fabric that, let's say, has hearts, I want to start at the top of the mask. You don't want the hearts upside down, so make sure the hearts are facing upward and you're starting in the top left corner of the fabric. So let me pull this in closer so you can see it now. All right, well, now I'm trying to find the best angle so you can actually see what I'm doing. Pardon me during this live presentation. Okay, so this way you can see the machine and you can see what I'm doing. So starting at the top left, I know this is backwards on the Facebook Live. It looks like it's the top right, but it's really the top left. You're gonna start at the very corner. Now I keep this edge of the fabric right against the edge of the foot of the sewing machine. So I'll start right at the top and I'll line that up right at the edge. Hey, while you're watching, do me a favor and tell me if you're watching this live or if you're watching it on a replay. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to enter them in there, and as I see them, if I can answer them, I certainly will. So, okay, so I've threaded my machine. I've got this in here, both sides facing each other. I've got it started at the upper left corner with the edge right up against the foot of the sewing machine. And then I've got my pedal down below. What you'll want to do, I'm going to actually do something first. Before you get started, if you're nervous with this, if you haven't sewn very much, take a little scrap piece of fabric, just put it in there and get to know your sewing machine. So you're going to want to know, kind of like driving a car, how fast to push the pedal. You can start going. You want to get to know where your reverse is. If you push the reverse button, you can watch it go backwards, go forward again. Get to know if you push it down fast, how fast it goes. Just get comfortable with your machine. You're only using a piece of scrap fabric, so just practice for a little bit, just sewing a straight line if you've not done this before. So, and my machine has been a little temperamental. I made all these masks and it was using flannel fabric, which is a little thicker, and my machine started kind of going wonky on me towards the end. So apologies ahead of time if this decides to give me some trouble right in the middle. So I gave it a test run this morning, took it apart, put it back together again. I'm hoping that we've solved the problem and it's thought about what it's done and it's not going to do it anymore. But anyway, bear with me. Again, this is live. So back in here, I'm going to take the long end of the fabric on top, upper left corner, set your foot down right on top, and then you're going to just give a little stitch and then push the back button, go back a little bit, and then go again. So you're just going to want to secure that corner. You don't just want to start sewing and leave it wide open. So give it a little stitch, push the reverse button. It just locks it a little bit, and then you can go forward again. You're going to go all the way down to the end of this first piece, just sewing a straight line. Now you're not going to want to go to the very end. You're going to want to leave maybe a 1/4 inch. I don't know if you can see that there, but leave about a 1/4 inch at the end of the fabric. Now, I've already pre-cut one of these, but you're going to want to get 1/4 inch elastic, and you're going to want to cut a 7-inch strip. So what I've done is I've cut a 14-inch strip, folded it in half, and cut 2 7-inch pieces. So you're going to want to keep the needle in the fabric. So keep it down. Lift the foot up, give it a turn. Now the fabric's not going anywhere because the needle is keeping it secure. So with that lever up and the fabric now turned, what I've done is you open up the fabric. You want to lay the piece of elastic right on the top seam there, right inside. Bring it right to the edge. And then you're going to want to close it back up again, keeping the fabric nice and straight so that it doesn't get crooked. So now you've got that one piece of elastic laying right up against the seam, and you can bring the foot back down again. Excuse me while I cut one more piece of fabric real quick, or elastic. Okay, so it's all ready to go. What you'll want to do now, that with this elastic, you're going to want to go over it a couple times. So getting your finger ready on the reverse button, wherever that is on your sewing machine, you're going to want to start, and you'll hear or feel the sewing machine go over that elastic, so you know you've made it over that little hump. Then you push the reverse, go back over it again, and then you go over it one more time, and now you're going to go just in a nice straight line. Come down maybe an inch from the bottom or less if you feel more comfortable keeping it a little further out, whatever you'd like to do. But now you're going to open it up just a little bit, and you're going to reach in and get that elastic. I like to keep it the same. You don't want to twist it. You want to keep it like it was laying, and just swoop it around and lay it right here at the bottom of this. I don't know if you can see it, but right at the bottom, you're going to want to put that elastic right here, cover it up, hold it down in place, and then go over it with your sewing machine. Once you get over it, push the reverse button, go over it again, and then you're going to go over it one more time. So now you're going to be nice and snug up against the edge of the fabric. Your needle is going to be down in the fabric. You can lift up that lever, turn your fabric, and set it back down. Now, on this stretch of the mask, you're not going to want to go all the way down. You're only going to want to go about halfway down, because we need to leave a little space to turn this mask right side out. So what I do, because I've forgotten this a couple times, and as you're just busy sewing along, next thing you know, you've gone all the way down, and now you've got 2 full sides, and you don't want that. So you'd have to take out those seams, and that's kind of a pain. So just what I do is I'll usually put my finger right about where I want to stop it, so that I know that's where I'm going to stop it for now. When you get to that point, put your reverse on, secure that edge, and now you're done. Now, if your machine has a needle up button, you can push that, or you can turn it towards yourself over here. You can see it, but this knob over here, you always turn this towards yourself. You don't want to turn it away. You want to turn it towards you. Lift your needle up, and you want to make sure that this little thing over here comes up too. There's a little lever that has to pop up. So just make sure this little guy comes up. Your needle's up and this guy's up. And now you're ready to lift the lever and cut your thread. So you've got a full seam here, a full seam at the top. You can feel the elastic inside, secured at both edges, and you've come down about halfway on the other side. So now we're gonna, what I've done is I've turned the fabric over, because I like to have all the fabric on the left-hand side. And then remember how when we opened up that piece before, you open this side up as far as you can, lay this elastic down on the top seam, close it in, and set it down, and you're ready to go. Now you're going to want to do what you did before, which is run over the elastic once, back it up, and then go over again to make sure it's extra secure. Now you can wait till the end, or you can do it now. It might be easier while there's more room, but just bring that elastic piece down again to the bottom. Pinch it at the bottom, and then make your straight seam. Go all the way down till you run over that elastic again. Back it up, go over it one more time. And now the final, I like to corner off this piece so it's not just left open. It's easier to connect this if you've got something to meet up to. So I've turned it. I'm going to go ahead and do a straight line here for a little ways, back it up, and then that's secure. So now I can go ahead and lift my needle, take it out. Okay, so I've got an almost completely sewn closed square or rectangle with a little opening here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reach inside. You can take off some of these long ends too if you like. No one's going to see the inside of it, but I like a cleaner look. So then you just start turning right side out using that little hole that you left. Nice thing is you've got elastic to kind of help. You can find it in here and give it a little tug, and that will help pull it out. So here's what we have. Turn it this way. So you've got a rectangle with the elastics sewn into each side. They're coming out the sides, not the top. So now what you're going to want to do is you've got that little hole that you left to turn it right side out with. It may just line right up like it should, and if that's the case, great. Hold it closed and take a little pin and pin it shut. So now you've got your rectangle with your pin shut hole. What I like to do is I like to have the whole part at the bottom of the mask. So I give it a turn and have this hole at the bottom. Now, what they're asking for with the Providence masks is that you pleat them. They had suggested 3 pleats. So you just tuck them down with 1 pleat. So just roll it down on itself. You can see on the back side, it's not a whole bunch. You want to take a little pin and pin down that one. Make sure it's even and pin down the other side. You want to take a second pleat down. I've only been using the 2 pleats because with the flannel, it's a thicker fabric. But if you can do 3 pleats, that's what they're asking for. You know what? I'm just, for the sake of showing this, I'm just gonna do the 2 pleats. So here's 2 pleats, 1, 2, and I'm gonna go around the other side and do a second pleat down. So now you've got the 1 pin that's keeping the hole at the bottom closed. You've got the 2 other pleats on each side, or 2 other pins keeping the pleats down. So now what they're asking that you do is do two seams all the way around the mask. So again, starting in that upper left corner, and I apologize, it looks like the upper right corner on the screen, but it's the upper left corner. Set it in your machine, and you'll start going around kind of slowly because you're going to want to make sure that you don't run over your pins. You want to get those out of the way. So starting in the upper left corner, you want to start and then do a little reverse just to secure that. and then start going around. And it's a pretty close seam to the edge of the mask. You don't want to leave too big of a gap there. You want to get it as close as you can without going off the fabric. So you want to go to the corner, get nice and close, leave the needle in, lift the lever, give it a pivot, and then do the next one. All the way to the corner. Lift the lever, give it a turn. Go another straight edge. So this is all straight sewing. It's pretty basic. Once you're getting close to where that pin is, you can do a good job by yourself of taking that pin out and just holding it down so it doesn't get crooked. Just go over that hole, go to the corner, leave your needle down, give a lift and a pivot, and then go over. If you need to tug on the elastic on the back side to help kind of pull it through, you can. Mine was having trouble with the heavier fabric the other day, so I had to give mine a little tug. Okay, so now I'm back to that corner again. I can take out all my pins. Like I said, Providence is asking for a double enforced seam around the outside. So now that everything is all done, you can just give it one more run through all the way around. Keep it close to where that other seam was. Okay, so always when you end your sewing, give your little reverse button a push just to seal up that seam. Okay, so you lift your needle, pull your thread out. I've got a little cutter on the side of my sewing machine. You can't see it, but cut all that fabric off. I like to also get my scissors and just trim any loose little pieces off to make sure it's nice and cleaned up. You don't have a lot of loose threads. All right, so turn this back here again, pardon the live. Here is the mask that I've just made. It opens up because of the pleats. You can fit it behind your ears. There you go. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I'm sorry, Sue. So busy sewing, I guess I was too close to the machine. So this is, oops, pardon me. This feels a little on the small side, so I don't know if maybe I cut it a little on the small side, but or maybe this is the first one that I really made in all cotton. So try a couple out yourself. Try it the 6 and 9 inch dimensions, and if you need to go just a ½ inch bigger on each side just to allow for the seams, maybe do that too. Long as the two sides match up, that's the most important thing. So with the pleats, it opens up nicely, and the 7 inches should be plenty of room to get behind your ears. I've got glasses on, which makes it kind of hard to put on there, but anyway, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments. Let me know. That's really pretty simple. It's straight line sewing. I can even put the link down below of the tutorial that I used when I first watched how to make these. It's really pretty easy. I guess my tips would be the things that I've made the most mistakes on is forgetting where to stop on the other side. I just keep going all the way through, and then I realize that I've just closed up the hole that I need to undo this. And so keep a little razor blade or a seam ripper handy, and then you can just go back and open up that little space again. The other thing is one time I laid that first piece of elastic down and was sewing in there, and then I got my second piece of elastic and put it at the bottom, not thinking about looping it instead of not, so you want to use that first piece a second time and then put the second piece in a second time. You know what I'm talking about? And then the last thing is, it's easy to do is, unless you are gathering this and holding it and pinning at the same time, if you do one side, gather, gather, pin, pin, and then go around to the other side, gather, gather, pin, pin, you might be going the wrong direction and you'll come out wonky. So do the first pleat first and then the second pleat second, so that they're facing the right directions. So that's it in a nutshell. They're pretty basic. Again, check with Providence to see what they need, if they are asking you to provide your own high thread count cotton, or if they're going to provide kits. I submitted my request this morning. I just checked online before I went live, and I hadn't gotten a response back yet, so I don't have the answer. But if you do want to tackle some of these, it's really pretty easy. It's straight line sewing, just remembering to put that elastic in the top, keep that hole in the bottom. You'll knock some out in 15 minutes each, so they're pretty simple. All right, well, thank you guys for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I'm going to be working on some today of just neighbors and friends that had requested some, and then I'm going to start in on the 100. I'm going to be 1 in a million that's doing 100. So if you guys want to be 1 in a million too, and start making some masks, if you have a sewing machine, get it out, dust it off. It's kind of fun, you know. You put some music on and just kind of get into a groove with it, and you'll have a good time. So, all right, thanks you guys. And again, message me if you have any questions, or put in the comments if you're watching right now or if you're watching in replay. All right, thanks and have a great day.